Okay, so here we've got the day 3 files open right here. We're going to start out with cats HTML, but I want to go through the files that we've got going here. So if we look at cats HTML, let me double click on that so I can make it one of my working files. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some thumbnails of cat pictures, so small images of the cats, and we're going to make it so we can click on the small thumbnail and have it take us to a page, a separate page with a larger photo of the same photo. So those larger pages are here in the HTML, or the pages with the larger photos are here in the HTML folders. We've got Bad Cat, Hacker Cat, and Happy Cat. The small thumbnail photos are, of course, in our Thumbnails folder, Bad Cat, Hacker Cat, and Happy Cat. And that's what we're going to be putting on this page right here. We're going to make it so we can click on each of these JPEGs here, and they're going to take us to the pages with the larger photos. We're going to place these photos right here, Bad Cat, Hacker Cat, and Happy Cat. Okay, so we'll start here on cats HTML. So like it says right here, click on the thumbnails below to see a larger photo. We are going to first add those images. And then we'll go back and we'll add links to the pages with those images on them. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we should have installed our extension, brackets Beautify. So remember that if you're on Windows like I am here, you can hit Control-Shift-L to make that work, or Command-Shift-L on the Mac. So I'm going to do that right now, and you should see that on my screen. So if you see Control on my screen, of course I'm on Windows, just replace that with Command if you're working on a Mac. Okay, so here we're going to go down a few lines, and we're going to add our first image. We want to add this inside of a paragraph. I'll get to talking about this later on, but we're going to be validating our page today. So in order for images to technically be correct, according to HTML specifications, they need to be inside of something. And the simplest thing to put them inside of is a paragraph. So we're just going to put a paragraph here, hit enter a few times, and then place our images inside. So, like so. And these images are going to be in the thumbnails folder. So I'll click on the thumbnails folder here. And the first one's going to be Bad Cat. I'll put closing corner bracket there. And of course, I've already started the live preview, so make sure to do that by clicking right here if you haven't already. And that should open up your Chrome window. We should be able to see the live changes here. So we've got the first one there. I'm going to add the second one. So again, in the thumbnails folder, Hacker Cat, and close it with the right corner bracket. And then the third image, still in the thumbnails folder, Happy Cat. So we should have all three of those images here. And so what we want to have happen is when we click on each of these, we want to be taken to the other page that has a larger photo on it. So we need to, of course, set up the links here. Right now, these are just photos. They're not linked to anything. But in class, we learned how to create links around text. So we use the A or anchor tag, and it's the same thing here. So before each of these images, we're going to add the A or anchor tag. So like so. So A space href equals, and we're going to point to the pages or the HTML files which are inside the HTML folder. So they already exist, and so since this one is Bad Cat, it's going to go to Bad Cat HTML, and we need to take this /A, which brackets inserts for us. We're going to cut that and put it after the photo. Then we'll go down to the next one and add a link to the next page, to the Hacker Cat HTML page. And I'm going to cut and paste the ending tag, the closing tag there. And finally, the third will be Happy Cat. And again, I'm going to cut and paste. And so these really should line up. So right now I've got these images inside of my anchors. And so I want to be able to see that visually. So I could manually indent these. I could just show it manually. This is how we should show that I have an image which is inside of this A element, which is again inside of a paragraph. Or I can just let brackets Beautify do that with Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L on the Mac. And so everything lines up, and I can visually see what's inside of what to help me avoid errors. Okay, so I'm going to save that. I'm just going to test that out. So each of these should be a link to the right page. So if I click on this first one, it takes me to a page. And of course, we don't have a larger photo on this page yet. It just takes us to an empty page with a title, and we could have a caption somewhere later. Okay, so we got that working. So now I'm going to go to that actual page, to bagcat.html, which is in the HTML folder. And on that page, all we're going to do, I'm not actually going to add a caption, I'm just going to use the title there. I'm going to add the image itself. So I want to put that inside a paragraph, just like we did on the other page. And image src equals. And so it can't actually find the photo. So it recommends these HTML files, which are not super helpful because I want to put the large photo in there. It can't find it because we're inside an HTML folder, and the photos, the large photos, are in a photos folder, which are up a level. So I first have to write double quotes here, .. And that tells the browser in brackets to go up a level, and then I can actually find the photos folder. So I click on photos, and the one I want is bagcat. I'll put the closing corner bracket there, save, there we go. And so there's the live preview. It's a much larger image of the same file. So when you're doing this for your Code 1 assignment, you'll actually need to use Photoshop or some other program to create a smaller photo and a larger photo. Because these are actually different, they're the same photo, but they're different sizes. So if I click on bagcat JPG in the thumbnails, you can see it's only 400 by 286 pixels, but the larger one is 1400 by 1000 pixels, the one showing here. So I actually took the larger one and shrunk it in Photoshop. So we actually need two different versions, one large and one small, of the same photo to make this work. Okay, so let me go back to bagcat.html. So the other part of this, so we got it working. And if I go back to cats.html, now I can click here and it goes to the larger photo. But on bagcat.html, technically, and when we validate the page, this will be a necessity. According to the requirements, we have to make this image accessible. So that means for those who are visually impaired or using a screen reader, they have to be able to know what this image is, since obviously they can't see it or can't see it clearly. And we do that with what's called an alt attribute. So right now we've got an src attribute here. Attributes always are created by adding a space after the tag, the opening tag. So we've got image as the tag, a space, and then this src equals attribute here. We're going to add another attribute. So right after the double quotes here, but before the closing bracket, we're going to hit a space. We're going to type alt equals. So this alt attribute is required on every photo. You can see that Chrome doesn't care, it'll still show the photo. But to make it accessible and to be able to validate our page, we have to have some description right here. So alt equals, and in quotes, we can put whatever we want here. So I'm going to type this. And so if we save that, we won't see any change at all. So it's not something that ever appears on this page unless you're using a screen reader or if the link to the image is broken. So if I break the link to the image by deleting one of the words here, let me save my page here. I can now I can see the standard icon showing, okay, there's supposed to be an image there, but it's not showing up because obviously it can't find the image since there's no image with this title here. But now we can see the alt text. So it can come in handy if the image doesn't load for whatever reason. So let me put that back. So the alt is required. Something that's not required, but which is really handy, is what's called a title text. Let me save that so we can see the image. Or a title attribute. So let's add the title attribute, and you can see the difference here. And it's just, again, adding a space after the end of the last attribute. So after that double quotes there, space, we'll put title equals in quotes. And I'm just going to put the same exact text. And this text actually will show up. So I'm just going to paste it in there. Cat in a bag with its paper towel. So if we save that, and we click over here on Chrome, make sure Chrome's actually clicked on over here, and then move your mouse over the photo, now you can see the title text. So this one actually shows up. And title text is not required, it's just handy to make the page more useful. Okay, and one more thing we need to include here, or we can include here, let me go back to cats.html. So when I click on this, any of these photos, we haven't yet fixed this one, which we'll get to. When we click on any of these, it of course takes us to that page, but it opens in the exact same tab. Let's say I want to open it in a new window or a new tab. It's really simple. On my anchor, which points to my anchor element, which points to that page, I'm just going to add another attribute. So again, href is an attribute, src is an attribute, and they always have this format, attribute equals something in quotes, some value. So I'm going to hit space right here after the quotes, and I'm going to write target equals, and there's only one option we're ever going to choose, and that's this underscore blank. Underscore blank. And I don't know why it's underscore blank. What it actually means is open in a new tab. So now if I click on this photo here, make sure it's refreshed, I click on that, it opens in a new tab. So I still have my previous tab open. And so last here I'm just going to go through and manually on the other two pages. So when I click on this second photo here, it takes me to a page that doesn't have anything on it. And I'm going to add the information for that, just like I did on the previous page. So this right here, I'm going to add the image, just so we can see it. So image img src equals, and again, it can't actually find it, so I need to add the double quotes, / slash, so it can find the folder up above outside of this HTML folder. I'm going to go into Photos and add HackerCat, and save that. There it goes, and it shows up there. And again, to make this proper HTML, I have to have the alt attribute, so I'll add that there. And cat typing on a keyboard, or whatever you want to write here. And I'm also going to add, this is not necessary again, but I'm going to add the title attribute just to make the page more useful. And I'll usually just put the same thing for this. Okay, so if I save that, click over to Chrome, and then mouse over this image, I should be able to actually see that one. This is the title attribute that's showing up. Let me do that for the last one, HappyCat HTML. So I'll add the img src, and it can't find it, so add the double quotes, / slash, go down to Photos, and we want HappyCat, and we need to add the alt attribute, a very happy cat making a very happy face, and I can put the same thing in for the title attribute, or whatever, it doesn't really matter. So this is obviously for someone who can see the photo, so since this one isn't, I suppose I should be accurate. But this title attribute is for someone who can see the photo. So we can put whatever we want there, any less descriptive description. Okay, so last thing I need to do here is to validate my page. And I could really choose any of them to validate. So I'm going to choose just our main page here. But before I do that, I have to add a few more lines of code that really should be added on every single page we ever type. And these are just standard, but there's something we can just copy and paste. After we type them now, we don't ever have to retype them again. We could just copy and paste them from existing files. So they go at the very beginning of our file here. So I'm going to go back before it says the HTML tag. I'll hit return a few times. And the first one's called DOCTYPE, and it looks just like this. So left corner bracket, exclamation point, DOCTYPE. And then a space, and then HTML. And that just tells the browser that, of course, we're working with the current version of HTML. Something else we need to add is this HTML tag. For proper formatting, it should have a language attribute there. So after the L in HTML, space, and then lang, lang equals. And of course, you could put a two-letter code for lots of languages. Since this is English, we're going to put EN to let the browser know that it's in English, of course. And the last one we need to add here is the character set. So different languages use different sets of characters. And the one we use here is called UTF-8. We're going to write that inside of the head element. And that's going to be in the meta tag. So I'm going to put left corner bracket, meta. And it's going to have what's called a character set, or just char set attribute. So character set, char set equals, and it's going to be UTF-8. Closing corner bracket. And if we get those line up with Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L on the Mac. And I'll save that. Okay, so I've got this file here. I've already opened up a tab with the validator link that's in Code 1 PDF. It takes you right to here. And so you can validate by a page's direct address. So you can actually put in other pages here that are existing on the web and see how they validate. You can validate by file upload, which would work for us too, or validate by direct input. And this is usually the quickest for me. So over here in brackets, I'm going to hit Control-A or Command-A on the Mac, and then copy, so that just selects everything. Then I'm going to copy everything with Control-C. Then here in Validate by Direct Input, I'm just going to paste it in there. So paste in all that stuff. I'm going to hit Check. And okay, so you can see as I scroll down here that there are a few warnings and errors because there's a few things we need to add to this page here. The first one that's shown is on this page still includes the old formatting for style, which I didn't go over in class yet, but it includes this part right here, type equals text slash CSS. So that's no longer needed. Just style is needed now because all you can put in there is CSS. So if I get rid of that, just have it say style, I'm going to copy everything again. So I'm going to hit Command A, or Control A, Control C, and then I'm going to go back up here and paste it in again. So I'm going to hit Control A in here and delete all that. Paste that in, hit check, so we can validate it again. And that warning goes away, so it's no longer there. However, now I still have the more serious errors, reminding me, as I mentioned on the other pages, that I need to have alt attributes for these images. We added them on the other pages, but we didn't add them here. And that was just so we could still see errors occurring here and be able to correct them in case this happens when you're working on your own work. So to fix them, it tells me the line they're on, so line 25, which is obviously right here, line 25. So I'm going to go and just add in the alt attributes for all three of these, so line 28 and line 31 right here, line 28 and line 31. So I'll add in the alt attributes. Alt equals thumbnail image of a cat in a paper towel. And I could add the title attribute, but it's not technically required for accessibility purposes, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to add the alt, which is required here. Alt equals cat typing on a keyboard. And then for this last one, alt equals a happy cat with a sour look on its face. So if I save that, and I'm going to, again, select everything with Control A, copy that, go back up here, select everything, paste in the new code, hit check, and hopefully I'll see the errors go away. So this is what we actually want to see down here, everything green. So no errors or warnings to show. A few other things that are also needed, just as a reminder for code 1 here, we need to be able to correctly use level 1 headers, level 2 headers, and paragraph tags. We can see some of those here. So level 1 header is this H1 tag, paragraph right here, H2 right here. We need at least one unordered or ordered list. So I don't have any of those on this page here, but I could easily add one. So they are formatted the same way. So it's either going to be a UL tag for an unordered list or an OL tag for an ordered list. Let me go with the UL unordered list here, which will be bulleted. And I just need to create some list items for each, or LI elements. So this would be item 1, and it go down in item 2, and so on. And that would show up as a bulleted list here.